Yes.
Let's
Yes.
do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Do
Do
it,
it.
do
Do
it,
it.
do it.
Starting with the dance party.
I forgot we stream live. I would have worn like some nice lipstick or something. Sorry.
You look great. We want to welcome everybody tonight. My name is Megan Allen. I'm a National Board Certified Teacher and your host, working with my company, Tailored Learning Supports for Families. And I'm super excited to have some of my education sheroes here tonight to talk a little bit to us about science. And I wore my science shirt, my nerdy science shirt. Never trust an atom. They make up everything.
Nice.
And then we are going to be diving into some Zen, some social and emotional learning. So to prepare, I brought my tea. Yeah, it's just tea, I promise. And then I've got my candle lit. But really excited to have everybody here as a part of our learning community tonight. A few reminders. One, we know everybody is learning at home. Hi, Allison. So we all have real life happening behind us. I have 4 teenagers watching a movie upstairs and a 1-year-old that way who's hopefully going to stay asleep. So know that we totally understand if you have to get up, attend to your kids, mute, unmute. We encourage you to unmute your microphone and speak up when it's, if you have a question or a comment. And we also encourage you to have your camera on so we can see your faces. Are you all hearing any of that feedback?
Okay, I am not, but let me go on mute.
I heard a little bit of it.
Just like
All
a
right.
scratchiness, but nothing big.
Can I
Yeah.
blame it on the teenagers?
Yes.
We'll blame it on the teenagers. No, the mindfulness coach is saying no, don't do that. I'm going to share my screen with some introductions, and then I'm going to turn things over to Carly. I believe you're going to go first and wrap us into science. Oh, also want to encourage everybody to use the chat box. Post questions. We're going to have some Q&A at the end of our hour. If you're watching on Facebook Live, feel free to put the questions underneath the video in the discussion thread. I'll be checking that as well, and I'll moderate some questions. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to make some introductions. By the way, have I mentioned it's so great to see everybody tonight? All right, can you see my screen? Sweet. So I already did my introduction. I'm going to be your host for the evening with Tailored Learning Supports for Families and our physical space that hopefully by January will be open up for families and kids, the community classroom. And I want to show and announce, actually, I'm super excited about this, our next event coming up for October. Thank you for being a part of our September events. In October, we're really excited to partner with Undone Consulting and the Undone Movement that focuses on social justice and equity. And we have an event for families, for kids, and for the grown-ups. This event is going to have speakers. There's going to be a kid time. There's going to be music. There's going to be spoken word. We have a read aloud and an optional art activity that you can have shipped to your house ahead of time. And the read aloud is going to be in both Spanish and English. And then I want to announce our speakers for this event. Dr. Jen Matos, who is at Mount Holyoke College right down the road from me in Massachusetts. Super excited to have her talk to the grown-ups. And then we have Dr. Melissa Collins, who just last night was inducted into the National Teacher Hall of Fame. Amazing educator from Tennessee. She's going to talk to the grown-ups, and I think she's going to talk to the kids a little bit too. And then our spoken word poet, Caleb Rainey. He hails from Iowa. He's worked with 2-year-olds as an early child care teacher, and now he works as high school educator, writer, spoken word poet. Really excited to have him, and he's going to be working with the grown-ups and with the kids. It's going to be $20, and that is per family and per group of educators. It's for families and educators, and there's a lot of great stuff you're going to get with this, and we hope you come and attend this October 12th event. So now for the reason why you're here tonight. I'm really excited to introduce 2 amazing women that I get to call colleagues and friends. And it's super cool to be in the same space with them, even though we're like 2,000 miles apart. Carly Baldwin is a national board certified teacher in Kentucky. She was the 2015 winner of the Presidential Award for Engineering, Math, and Science Teaching. She has worked as an effectiveness coach for the Kentucky Department of Education and is back in her classroom or her virtual classroom this year as a science teacher. So she's going to talk to us about some science strategies that we can use to support our kids at home, whether they are remote learning, homeschooling, or whether you're supporting your kids with homework. And then also super excited to have one of my colleagues from Tampa, who is also a national board certified teacher. Elizabeth Brown Davis is an elementary school educator. She's taught for over 25 years before she came to Hillsborough in New York City. And she is on the board of directors for the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to pick up my pen and turn things over to Carly. Carly, you ready for us?
I am, and hopefully I can share this. Oh my goodness, hold on. Sorry. Of course, I'm having the permissions where it's like not allowing. There we go. Okay. All right. Thumbs up if we're good with the screen share. Awesome. All right. So one thing that I just love is talking about the wonder of science. And I think too often we boil science down to vocabulary, and I hate that. So that is kind of my whole spiel. And unfortunately, there are a whole lot of words on the screen. But what I want to focus on is that the next generation science standards have come out with some unique properties. And instead of focusing on just the content, they really try and focus on what scientists do. So they science and engineering practices that I think are applicable in everyday life. I think everybody needs to know how to ask good questions, develop models, plan and carry out investigations. So being able to do a lab, or just figure out why something works or doesn't. How to analyze interpreting data. I might just pause on this step 4 right now, because I think in today's age, data is really important. And I think we're having a lot of conversations around what it is and why is it real or not real, or how can it be interpreted. Same thing with using math. Math and science go hand to hand, and that's really important. And then making sure that you're able to construct an explanation, engage in argument, and then communicate that information. So I focus on that a lot in my classroom, but also I think these are some practices that kids need to be and use them. And this is not me telling kids to ask questions. This is having kids ask their own questions. And that's why it's really important. Same thing then with their cross-cutting concepts. I think even for littles, people notice patterns. In fact, I was on a Marco Polo with one of my friend's kids who was 4, and I had my nails painted in different colors, and they were blue and silver and blue and silver. And she just totally noticed that. And my friend asked if it was any significance. And my friend's kid popped up and said, "Well, Mom, it's a pattern." And that was the significance. And so I think just being aware of all of those patterns is something at any point in time, and have your students and your kids know. Also, cause and effect is really important in everyday life, especially maybe even in behavior, right? Portion and quantity systems, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Everything has energy, everything is made up of matter, and so that unites all branches of science. How things are structured, how things are functioned, and stability and change. So all of that to say is there is going to be some links that I'm going to post a little bit later that if you are more interested in these standards, you can dig a little bit deeper into them. And they have some more supports for those who are doing some at-home learning. What I hope to convey tonight is that science is around us, and you don't necessarily need to know why something is happening. You just need to notice that it happened. And that is one of the buzzwords that we use is a phenomenon. And it doesn't necessarily need to be phenomenal. However, it does need to kind of let you go, huh, okay, I wonder why that happened. And anything that kind of makes you want to Google something. For example, why is honey naturally
Carly,
using a phenomenon is a great way to scaffold science concepts. Yes.
we
Am I not here?
we lost you right after you talked about honey. We're like a
Okay, am I?
cliffhanger. We're like, tell us
Oh,
about
no.
the phenomenon with honey, because we're all wondering.
Okay. Am I back now?
You are.
Okay, thank you for stopping me. Okay, so I am not going to tell you about honey because I'm going to make you Google it. And that is the face that all of my students give me all of the time. I am not going to give you that answer. So I am going to leave you on the cliffhanger. But this is one of my favorite phenomenons ever. And so I'm just going to play it. And that is a steel railroad car. I love Megan's face because that is the face that all of my students use. This is great. A steel railroad car, and what happened was they steam cleaned that car and then left it, and then that is what happened. So in my classroom, and I'm going to make you guys do this, and I'm going to see if I can find the chat box. Okay, I can. Okay, so what I would like you to do is type out some things that you noticed. What happened in that phenomenon? What are some questions that you have? And the last question is, could you draw something, what you think is happening? And yes, the practices are for all grades. I just found the chat box. It is K-12. Yeah, so Teresa, that's a good question. What would cause that type of implosion? And that is something that we would want to.
And Carly, can I draw that? Absolutely not. That's why I teach math.
Another thing, did it make a noise? That is also what my students want to know. Yes, it did not really make a very big noise, no. Another question that a lot of my students had, did it release any toxins? It is sealed, so there was no. Soccer truck. So was it some sort of chemical? Yeah. What was it filled with? Absolutely. And I definitely cannot draw. It's okay. A lot of my students can't either. And where did the air go inside if it was sealed? See, a lot of these questions, was it hot? So one of the indications was it was steam cleaned. So then that kind of goes off of what steam. And I kind of have to do that. And so in that, then here is one of my students' first drawing. So when I asked, could you draw what happened? this is what they come up with. And they have some labels, they have some descriptions, and they have some indications of what is happening with that air or not. And that's what's called a model. So a lot of you guys think of models as 3D modeling, like you have to make your solar system out of different size tennis balls. However, models are really, they could be on the computer, they could be just on this piece of paper, they could be 3D if you wanted them to. And that's really helpful to demonstrate thinking. So anytime I want to see what's happening in my students' heads, I try and ask them if they could put it on paper and then explain it. And so that's where that verbal explanation is also helpful. Okay, so I am going to try now and stop my share, and I'm going to try and start my video, and hopefully the internet will behave. All right. Here I have a plate filled with water. I have a Play-Doh because I don't have any clay, and I have a candle. It's just a birthday candle. And I'm going to light this candle. And then I'm going to cover the candle with just a regular glass. And then we're going to make surveys. So again, if you want to put it in the chat box, kind of what are you noticing? And hopefully it's not dyed. Usually I dye the water, but you can kind of see now that the water is now inside this glass. So there is no water now on the plate. And the candle to go out. And if I were to try and move this glass, it's kind of suctioned in there, but then you can see it does finally release. So how do you think that demo relates? Does okay, so the flame does not have air, right? So that's kind of why the flame went out. But is the reason why you think the water went into the glass? So that's kind of the phenomenon that I'm wanting to focus on. So desperate for oxygen, yes. Bill Nye. So all I will say is this demo is definitely out there for you. And again, I'm not going to give you the answers. I do want you to, to search it, but it does, I will say, have something to do with heat and something to do with pressure. So temperature and pressure have a lot to do with both of those phenomena. Okay, then let me share my screen one last time because I'm almost out of time, but I wanted to give you some other resources that I use that will also help you find out the answers to this. I'm pretty sure Steve Spangler has this exact demo on his website. If you are wanting some science kits for pretty cheap, they have pretty good materials on that website. Mystery Science is currently offering some free logins, and Mystery Science does some videos and also some lesson plans, and also offers some at-home experiments that you can do with your kids. And then last but not least, I love PHET. It is out of Colorado, and it offers some online simulations. And the reason why I love PHET is because it doesn't necessarily give you the answers. It just lets you manipulate a lot of the variables and see what happens. And so that helps kids with the problem solving and the asking questions, and then trying to communicate what they think is happening. So I'm going to pause there, and if anybody wants to respond or ask any other additional questions, I would love to do that.
Carly, I just wanted to say that through this whole presentation, it felt so relatable because my sister-in-law and brother-in-law are pharmacists, and all of a sudden the other day, my 9-year-old son, he had so many questions, and we were reflecting on medical questions. So about viruses, of course, I'm sure you guys understand why that would be a question right now, but so we called her and we were just reflecting on how children, my dog is right here, how children are the best the best scientists because they just ask freely and they just really want to get down to the answer.
Yes, and I love their questions, and you can see how I kind of modeled how I did not easily give up the answer, because part of the process is them researching and investigating and trying to figure it out. And I would also say that that initial model that they had would then get revised as they learn more and find more pieces of the puzzle. So that's another thing to add. And then also, I didn't put that on my resources, but if you Google a STEM challenge, those are really a big hit and often have a lot of regular at-home resources that you wouldn't need to buy a lab kit for, like marshmallows and spaghetti is one of the...
We call those the Science Olympics, those STEM
Yeah.
things. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Feel free to go ahead and pick up the microphone or pop your question in the chat box or on the Facebook thread. Carly, someone on Facebook, Lisa, was saying thanks for these great resources.
I did see a comment from Sophia about antibacterial, and that is part of it. But another thing about honey would be how the composition of it and how is it different than just regular sugar water. So I'll add that. Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you, Carly. Round of applause. Mad love. And Carly is coming to us from Kentucky, where she lives. Her internet's not so great, and I know all of us as educators and caregivers have learned to be so patient with that because we're all living that life right now. So no worries there. Thanks again, Carly. So I'm really excited and pleased to turn things over to my colleague down in the Tampa area, Elizabeth Brown Davis. Hi, Elizabeth. I've got my candle and my tea. I'm ready for some social emotional skills.
Yes. Hello, everyone. It's great seeing you guys again. Mariah, hello, how are you? Yes. So I'm actually grateful. I'm here tonight with a colleague of mine from the Tampa Bay area. She's also an NBCT out of Hillsborough County. We both share a likeness in our work that we do around with children. She is an ESE specialist. She's going to tell you which middle school now. She's a mom of a 9-year-old. And just a whole lot of fun. We made a lot of connections. And so tonight I thought it would be great that we kind of shared this information as a duo. And I will give the floor to Teresa for a moment so she can tell a little bit about herself and what she does, and start with our social emotional learning and how that supports families at home.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thanks, Megan, for hosting us all. I am in my 15th year now as a special educator, and any educator can tell you that a large part of what we do is social emotional. I always say that you cannot teach a child academics if you cannot manage their behavior and teach them strategies to manage their emotions. You know, a large part of what I've done the last 15 years is understanding the function of behavior, which I have happily, you know, transferred into my personal life. So, you know, why is that happening here? Let's see if we can dial that back, you know, and just really shaped my thinking of why something is happening and not character assassination. You know, there's obviously something not met here. Let's get that met. And I used to be an ESC specialist, which means that I was just a crazy person for 6 years, but now I'm just a middle school crazy person. So I teach 6th and 7th grade math this year. And after 14 years of teaching elementary school, that is quite the shock to the system, but I am excited because I'm learning something new every day. I feel like my burnout is really gone that I was feeling from before, because I'm with new people and learning new things, and that just makes me excited to go to work every day more than I was before. So even though I really felt like I was insane for going to middle school, I feel like it's an amazing thing. Kids are kids, and you can make a connection with, you know, children, adults, any age. So speaking of connections, I would like to show you a very short video. I don't know if I'm able to share my screen or not, but I'll try. Okay, cool. All right, so I have it already up. This is about distance learning, but because I am a true believer in having active listeners during a video, I'm gonna have a little assignment for you. While you are watching this 2-minute, 11-second video, I want you to look for things that you could apply to yourself as parents and adults also. So here we go. Oh, and also, wait, when I share my screen, I have to do something on the bottom and I cannot remember. Hold on, share screen, more. What is it?
I think you're good, Teresa. You can
just
press
start.
play.
I think you probably.
Let's read a story about distance learning.
Yes.
Learning. What is it? Sometimes when schools are closed, I need to do something called distance learning. Distance learning means that I will do my schoolwork and learning at home. I will not go to my school. There are many ways to learn during distance learning.
Teresa, you've got to turn your microphone on for us to hear the sound.
On a video. This might be through Google Hangouts, Zoom, FaceTime, or other programs for video chatting. My family or an adult will help me figure out how to do my work during distance learning. Distance learning is different. I have never done it before. I can try my best, and that will make my parents and teachers proud of me. It is very important that I try to cooperate with the adult who is helping me with distance learning. This is new for my whole family, and they are all doing their best to figure it out. I can try to be helpful. My teachers aren't sure how long distance learning will last, but they will tell me when it's time to go back to my school. When distance learning is done, I'll get back to my school and it will be so fun to see my teachers and friends.
Okay.
The end.
So sorry about that. I was muting because I was a little sniffly. So no virus though over here. So what did you guys see? What did you see that you could also apply to yourself, maybe in your job?
Distance learning. Learn about the meaning of distance learning.
Oh my gosh, is it still me? No, it can't be me, right? Hold on a second. It is me. Okay, sorry. Okay, what did you guys see in that video that you could apply to yourself as an adult? You can unmute yourself. Zoom, absolutely, yes. We are all having to learn Zoom, right? And all of the little idiosyncrasies, like Teresa, take yourself off mute so we can hear your video, right? And what else do you think, looking at it from a social emotional perspective?
Oh, the masks.
Yes, and
Masks in the book or video.
yes, absolutely. That can be an emotional experience for people, you know, especially for little kids having to wear that all day and they're not used to doing that.
Or a political experience.
Oh, right.
I also definitely gut checked when it was talking about how the other adult will help me do the distance learning, because as a teacher who doesn't have children, like I know that that's a really hard part for a lot of my parents, is that they are now in that dual role as parent and teacher, and they are not used to bridging that gap, and that's really difficult. And I also noticed, and I'm a little scared because it says, you know, when we go back to the school building, it will feel the same, but I don't think it will feel the same. Especially in Kentucky, we'll still have a lot of social distancing, a lot of masks, a lot of not shared supplies. And so even though the social piece might be there, I think it is still needing to prepare kids that when we go back, it's not going to feel like it did. And that's really hard.
All very good points. And I like the point that you made about the other adult helping with the learning. And that's what I was hoping that we would kind of focus in on. We, in that video is called A Social Story, in case you guys aren't familiar with what those are. And this is something that is twofold. One, for your students at home that may have difficulty with this concept of either, because this could apply to homeschooling or to e-learning. And the other thing is for you as adults. I hope that you took away from that video to give yourself some grace, just like we would give our kids some grace, because we're all learning this. It's all new for all of us. And if I could just, you know, leave you with a couple thoughts here. It's okay to say, you know what? I need to take a breath. I'm going to take a step back. This isn't working for me in this moment. And take a breath is what Elizabeth's going to do for us in a second. And also, it's okay to say, I'm not sure what's going on here. You know what? Let's get our eyes away from the screen. Let's shift gears. Let's skip this for right now. Let's revisit it later, instead of frustration on, you know, for the kid, frustration for you. Sometimes it's better to just regroup and come back to the drawing board. And it's okay if not every I is dotted and not every T is crossed. I think that we as parents, especially as educator parents, as Carly mentioned, it's really, really hard for us to take a step back and not do that. Trust me, I understand. But sometimes it's better for our emotional well-being to do that. So speaking of emotional well-being, unless anybody has any questions for me.
I was just going to say, this is Allison. I'm glad to hear you say that, because what I'm struggling with the most with my daughter doing virtual learning is that I feel like I'm working beside her with my job, and I'm trying to listen to her classes the entire time. And clearly I can't necessarily do both of those, but I feel like if I miss something in her class, she wants to put her headset on for less distraction. And I'm like, but if I miss something, but I'm trying to remind myself that if she was at school, I wouldn't be there to listen to it. So I just have to remember she's going to have to be able to, I mean, she's in second grade, so she has, you know, a little bit more comfort with moving around the computer and stuff, but just knowing that she's going to have to learn to do it on her own and succeed and fail on her own, even at this task, which is strange to her.
It's such an amazing point that you made. Absolutely. Because if you weren't in class with her, you'd miss it all, right? And I think that all of these revelations that we're having, you know, are so, so helpful when you're collaborating with other people like we are now, or you're speaking with other moms and parents, is just to give ourselves a moment's grace and to understand, like you said, the productive struggle is important, you know, and the lessons that she's going to learn from what she misses or what she doesn't miss is going to help shape who she will be later on. Also, you're imparting your wisdom with her work ethic, and you're sitting next to her, you're modeling that. And now she's going to get what she's getting from her educators as well. Any other questions or comments?
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Melanie. I have a 9-year-old in 4th grade and a 6-year-old in 1st grade. Hi. I would say that without a doubt, the biggest struggle I've seen is not knowledge, but the virtual learning and that lack of social contact with their teacher, with their classmates. That's something that we've struggled with most, especially with the youngest one. It's very hard for a 6-year-old without someone right there on top of them to understand, okay, the call didn't start, reconnect, rejoin, the link doesn't work. So definitely strategies for when they have, I see when she has that breaking point, and we just kind of have to break from it, and we get on the floor and cover what the lesson is supposed to cover. And I help her click, drag, knowing that she accomplished that. But yeah, any additional suggestions for that would be really awesome.
One of the biggest suggestions that I have for that actually is my son too. I felt it does feel almost like this strange gap, right? Like this piece of the puzzle that's just completely missing, because we are social beings, you know, and we need other people there to commiserate with, to celebrate with, all of the things. For your 6-year-old, and I know that this might not be totally for her education at the time, but I would say that maybe if you feel comfortable doing it, I don't know if you had any friends with kids her age, or if you could reach out to maybe 1 or 2 classmates you feel are safe to be around, or that you would feel comfortable, that they can meet up if you have the time to do it, you know, a few times a week, so that she has some kind of constant contact, or regular contact, I should say, with a peer. Because, you know, we learn so much. We learn all of our social skills that way, you know. A lot of kids learn incidentally. They know, you know, not to throw trash on the ground. I mean, we're telling them that, but really, honestly, kids learn so much from each other, you know. I mean, and just all these little life.
Especially at that age, of course.
Yeah, so yeah. That would be my biggest recommendation there, as for the social aspect. And maybe too, if you, it might be beneficial for another parent also, maybe if you guys could hook up during lesson times where you could have the two sitting together for their lessons, and they are learning all of those coping strategies together. And maybe one day they're at your house and one day they're at your friend's house, and you guys have an understanding, you're sanitizing, you're doing all the things that you both feel comfortable with. And that way they have like a sort of micro classroom situation.
And that's actually a great suggestion that I hadn't considered. I have started doing Friday lunchtime where she can have a friend from school over. I think an added challenge is that we have opted to stay on virtual learning, whereas our school district last week started face-to-face or virtual learning. So it's kind of a 50-50, and some of her friends, you know, went the other way, which is an added risk to what at least we are trying to do at home. But I do like the suggestion of maybe having a peer over who is in her virtual class and maybe doing the work side by side. That definitely is something that she's missing. She's normally gung-ho for every assignment and every new thing, and I'm definitely am seeing a different girl this semester, and it's sad.
It is sad when, because that it's also, come on, as moms, it hurts us sometimes when we're just not enough for our kid, right? You can love them all the love that you want, but right? But then they need that peer interaction so much. So I would encourage you to try that at least, to see if there's another family. The other family that you reach out to probably will be like, hallelujah, so good luck in that, and definitely let us know how it goes.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. I will let you know how that goes.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions before I throw it over to Elizabeth? All right, great. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Teresa. That was very informative. And I think it's wonderful how we bridge parenthood and education together, right? That experience. And I know it's been, excuse me, so overwhelming for teachers who have children at home, and for parents who the first time they are actually so engaged with their children's education, like more than homework help. And it just causes anxiety. And even after it's been how many months now? Over almost 6 months. We still find ourselves having some anxiety around this, right? So social emotional learning is the process, through which children and adults understand and manage emotions. They set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions, right? And so that's one of the things that we're very concerned about during this e-learning time, right? That social engagement. But I want to really share tonight that a lot of that social emotional starts with the parents, starts with you. And so sometimes we have to take a step back and take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, you know how it goes, right? How can we take care of others? So tonight, as we wrap up the wonderful, wonderful 3-part series sponsored by Tailored Learning, I would like to invite you to take care of yourself for the last 15 minutes of the evening. At this time, I invite you to just take a few moments for yourself as we engage in breathing and some mindful meditation. As you inhale and exhale, just leave any other thoughts at the door for a moment. Find a comfortable seated position in your chair. Evenly plant your feet on the floor. Relax your shoulders. Soften your jaw. And to prepare, just drop your chin down to your neck and slowly roll your head around your shoulder. Allow the weight of your head to drop back and fall around your other shoulder. And then again, the other way. Drop your chin and roll your head. Allow the weight of your head to just give yourself a wonderful massage. And return to a neutral position. As we're sitting up, place the palms of your hands on your knees. I invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze as we engage in diaphragmatic breathing. We'll complete 8 cycles, inhale and exhalation with a mindful breath. I'll demonstrate first. We'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold it at the top, and slowly exhale, 5, 4, 2, 1. Join me, please. Inhale, fill up your lungs, 2, 3, 4, hold it in. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale through your nostrils. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. Hold. Exhale through your nostrils. Smoothly, evenly, completely. Beautiful. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale. Fill up your lungs. Expand your belly. Hold. Feel your heartbeat. Exhale. Slowly, methodically, and evenly. Beautiful. Pull it in again. Inhale. Fill up your chest. Hold. Exhale through your nostrils. Evenly and smoothly. Beautiful. Again, inhale. Inflate your lungs. Fill it up. Hold. Exhale. Let it all out evenly and smoothly. Beautiful. Last breath. Pull it in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. As you find your natural breath, inhale through your nostrils. Exhale through your nostrils. And ask yourself, how am I feeling? Allow the tension to melt away from your body. On your next inhale, imagine a warm glow of light hovering right above your head. Feel its warmth. And imagine you have a hollow tube running vertically through your body. Inhale. And that warm glow of energy drops down through your skull and hovers right behind your eyes. Allow the warm glow to soften your eye sockets. Inhale, exhale. And on your next inhale, that warm glow drops down the back of your throat. And on your next inhale, the warm glow of energy falls into your chest. And there you feel love. And as we proceed on, the warm glow cascades into your belly. Be an observer. What do you notice? On your next inhale, the warm energy falls down, down. And now we are connected with the earth. Feel the weight of your body on your seat. Allow the earth to completely hold you up. Inhale, exhale. And now you feel completely calm. Your body has everything it needs. Find stillness and just be. If a thought comes to your mind, just acknowledge it and let it float away. Bring your attention to your breath. At the sound of the gong, bring your awareness back to your surroundings, and you are calm. I would like to leave you with a quote. We cannot take a breath for the past, nor can we take a breath for the future. Be in the moment. Buddha. Thank you. Namaste.
Elizabeth, that was so awesome. Suggestions. So I have a question. I'm going to be a mic hog. Suggestions on how some of what we just did might transfer to our kids.
In two ways. First, it already has, because what you are is what they are. When you're good, when you feel good, they feel good. So that's the first thing. Secondly, Mary Phillips, correct? She lent a plethora of suggestions. Communication is most important, I would say, to talk about how you're feeling and allow your children to talk about how they're feeling and suggest a moment to try a breathing strategy or certainly time out from or time away from the electronics, the Zooming. I really have to say Mary had wonderful, wonderful suggestions.
Yeah, I was just mentioning that periodic table of human emotions today, and we'll be sure to post that. We'll send that out again this week as well. That's a great suggestion, Elizabeth, and we'll post that in the Facebook comments for those of you that are watching in Facebook.
Yes.
A great springboard for conversation with your kids about how they're feeling and why.
And if I could just add one thing to that too. I read this somewhere or saw this somewhere. I would love to take credit for it, but it's definitely not my idea, but it made me pause. And it was, we treat children like they're miniature adults when it comes to their emotions, where they're still developing. And we need to realize that even though they're cognizant enough to follow the rules and they can hear you when they know they're supposed to do this or they know they're supposed to do that, they are still, their brains are still developing, their impulses are still developing, and we need to continue to guide them as such, that we are shaping the adults that they will become instead of we're raising these little miniature adults. So that's why it's important to listen to, even if they seem super irrational at the moment. I mean, good Lord, I'm never irrational. So, you know, as an adult, so my husband still listens to me. So poor guy. So we need to give that same grace to our kids.
I feel like
certainly I would just like to reiterate, be kind to yourself. We beat up on ourselves so many times. We worry so many times that we're not enough for whatever the task is. And that's why I guess we're here as a group, but just take time to be kind to yourself.
And what a good thing for our kids to see us model.
Yes. Yes. They notice. They notice every little thing.
So any questions, strategies that other caregivers would like to share? Feel free to go ahead and hop on the mic. This is your time.
Okay.
All questions are answered.
I think sometimes when we breathe and have a mindful meditation. It's not a lot of talking after.
Right. In my house, there might be some wine pouring after.
Oh, absolutely. A warm bath.
Well, your homework, whether you're watching us here in Zoom, watching the recording, or on Facebook, is to go do something for yourself now. Let go of
Absolutely.
any guilt that you have. Like if you're feeling like you're not enough trying to do it all with our kids learning at home, and do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. So then you have the energy and the emotional kind of full buckets. You can take care of those littles that look up to you so much. That counts for educators too. You've got a lot of littles that look up to you. Well, thank you for being a part of our learning community tonight. Elizabeth, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Teresa, thank you so much. And Carly, thank you so much. Go do your homework. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Good night, everybody. Please register for our October event.
Oh, yes.
It is Energize, Encourage, Equip. We will give you skills, resources, research, book activities to start those race and identity conversations with your kids. So we're really excited about that. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.